The film begins in Stoke-on-Trent, England, in the 1980s, where a young Robbie, around 8 years old, is playing football with his peers. The atmosphere is lively, but it's clear Robbie isn't the best player on the field. The ball comes to him, and he hesitates for a moment before attempting a kick, only to completely miss. The other boys laugh, and the moment feels painfully humiliating. Robbie, his face flushing with embarrassment, storms off the field, feeling defeated. At home, he finds comfort in the presence of his grandmother, Betty, who gently reassures him that he is special in his own way. She tells him that not everyone is meant to shine in sports, but there are other ways to make a mark in the world. This moment of warmth is quickly overshadowed by the presence of his father, Peter, a nightclub singer. Peter, an old-school entertainer, is something of a local celebrity, and Robbie idolizes him. Peter encourages Robbie to sing, even offering some informal lessons, coaching him through classic songs by Frank Sinatra. But there's an undercurrent of tension. Peter is warm and charismatic, but his affection comes in unpredictable bursts, making it clear that Robbie constantly seeks his approval. A few days later, at school, Robbie participates in a play. He's nervous but eager to impress. As he moves across the stage, he suddenly trips and falls flat on his face. The audience gasps. There's a beat of silence before Robbie scrambles to his feet and, instead of panicking, throws his arms out with a grin, as if the fall was part of the performance. The audience bursts into laughter and applause. In that moment, Robbie feels an intoxicating rush. It's not the kind of attention he expected, but it's attention nonetheless. The thrill of performing in front of an audience ignites something inside him. One fateful day, Peter boards a bus to attend a football match final, a day that will forever alter the course of Robbie's life. It is the last time Robbie sees his father. Peter never returns, abandoning his wife and son without explanation. The void left by his absence is immense, and the financial strain quickly becomes unbearable for Robbie's mother. Within days, they are forced to leave their apartment, packing their meager belongings and moving to a smaller, dingier place on the outskirts of town. The new apartment is a stark contrast to their previous home, but it is here, in the dim light of a single bulb, that Robbie makes a promise to himself. He vows that one day, he will become a global superstar. This promise becomes his anchor, a beacon of hope in the midst of their struggles. As the years pass, Robbie grows into a teenager, and his recent behavior in class lands him in the principal's office, where he is met with a stern lecture about the importance of education and keeping his feet on the ground. The principal dismisses Robbie's dreams of becoming a global singer as unrealistic, urging him to focus on more practical pursuits. But Robbie walks out of that office with his head held high, his resolve unshaken. The next morning, as Robbie sits in the kitchen, half listening to the radio, he hears something that makes his heart race. A band is looking for new talent, and the radio presenter is giving out the location and contact information. Robbie's mother, sensing his excitement, quickly writes down the details. Without a second thought, Robbie storms out of the house, his mind focused on one thing: this is his chance. When he arrives at the audition venue, he is met with a sea of hopeful faces, all waiting for their shot at stardom. The line seems endless, but Robbie waits patiently, his nerves growing with each passing minute. Finally, it is his turn. He steps into the room and meets Nigel, the man who will ultimately shape his future. Nigel, however, doesn't seem particularly impressed. He barely looks up as Robbie begins his audition. Nervous and unprepared, Robbie fumbles through his performance, his voice cracking and his timing off. Nigel quickly stops him, cutting the audition short and sending him on his way. Days turn into weeks, and Robbie begins to lose faith. But just as he is about to give up, the phone rings. It isn't Nigel on the other end, it is his father. Peter's voice is calm but distant, and he asks Robbie to come visit him. The invitation fills Robbie with a mix of emotions and a strange sense of euphoria. Against his better judgment, he agrees. That evening, Robbie finds himself standing backstage at a small, dimly lit venue where his father is performing. Peter hands Robbie a light and asks him to hold it up as he plays for the audience. The moment is surreal, and Robbie can't help but feel a pang of resentment. His father has abandoned him, and now he is being treated like a stagehand. When he returns home, his mother is waiting for him with news that will change everything. Nigel has called. Robbie has made it into the band. The news is so unexpected, so overwhelming, that Robbie lets out a scream of joy, his voice echoing into the night sky. This is it, the beginning of his journey to stardom. The next day, Robbie is introduced to his new bandmates, Howard, Jason, Mark, and Gary. Each of them has their own story. Howard is a former dancer, Mark has worked in finance, and Gary is a professional piano player. They are an unlikely group, but together, they form the foundation of what will soon become a sensation. Their early rehearsals are rough, their movements awkward and out of sync, but Nigel sees potential in them. He takes them out to dinner one evening and delivers a sobering message, telling them that one day, they will hate each other, but they will be all rich. The words hang in the air, a grim reminder of the sacrifices that lie ahead. Their first gig is at a gay nightclub, a far cry from the stadiums Robbie has dreamed of. He is visibly uncomfortable at first, but as the night goes on, something shifts. The audience embraces him, their energy and enthusiasm filling him with a sense of belonging he has never felt before. For the first time, Robbie feels truly accepted, and it is a feeling he carries with him. Life moves quickly after that. The band spends the next year on the road, performing at small venues and slowly building a following. Their big break comes when they are invited to perform at a nightclub packed with screaming fans. The energy in the room is electric, and for the first time, Robbie feels like a star. Backstage, Nigel delivers more good news. Record labels are interested in signing them. The boys celebrate, knowing they are on the cusp of something huge. A few days later, they travel to London to meet with a record executive. The meeting goes well, and soon after, they shoot their first music video. The video is a hit, catapulting them into the spotlight and solidifying their place in music history. But with fame come new challenges. Robbie's ego begins to grow, and he starts to see himself as the star of the group. He pushes for solo opportunities, convinced that he is destined to outshine the others. His bandmates are hesitant, but Robbie is relentless. One day, he manages to secure studio time for himself, determined to prove that he can succeed on his own. But the session is a disaster. Without the support of the band, his performance falls flat, and he leaves the studio feeling defeated. That night, he drowns his sorrows in alcohol, a habit that soon spirals out of control. The consequences of his actions come to a head on the night of a major performance. Robbie, drunk and disoriented, collapses backstage. Nigel is furious, scolding him for jeopardizing the biggest night of their career. But the show must go on. Robbie stumbles onto the stage, his movements sluggish and out of sync with the others. The fans don't seem to notice, their cheers drowning out his mistakes, but Robbie's grandmother and mother, who are in the audience, see the truth. The boy they have fought so hard to raise is no longer the same. A few days later, the band holds a meeting to address Robbie's behavior. They ask him to step down from the next tour, a decision that leaves him stunned. But instead of fighting back, Robbie accepts their decision without argument. He drives away that day, his mind racing with thoughts of what could have been. Months pass, and Robbie finds himself at a New Year's Eve party, surrounded by strangers but feeling more alone than ever. He makes a silent promise to himself, he will become a massive artist, no matter what it takes. As if in response to his thoughts, a woman approaches him. She asks what he does for a living, and Robbie tells her he is a singer. The woman removes her mask, revealing herself to be Nicole, a former member of a girl band. They bond over their shared experiences and their desire to go solo. Robbie begins to sing, his voice raw and unfiltered, and Nicole joins in. Together, they create a moment of pure magic, their voices blending in perfect harmony. The encounter reignites Robbie's passion for music, but it also forces him to confront the reality of his life. He begins spending more time with his family, reconnecting with the people who have always been there for him. His grandmother, now suffering from dementia, mistakes him for his father, a heartbreaking reminder of the passage of time. Robbie's mother urges him to visit more often, her words a gentle plea for him to stay grounded. As Robbie watches his grandmother shuffle in with a bag of chips, he realizes how much he has lost in his pursuit of fame. The next day, Robbie wakes up with a fire burning inside him. He decides to book a studio session alone, determined to pour his heart into the songs he's been scribbling in his notepad for years. These songs are raw, filled with the pain of his childhood, the abandonment by his father, the struggles of his mother, and the weight of his own mistakes. As he steps into the studio, he feels a strange sense of clarity. The room is quiet, the lights dim, and for the first time in a long time, Robbie feels like he's truly himself. He doesn't overthink it, he just sings. His voice cracks with emotion as he belts out lyrics about loss, love, and redemption. A few weeks later, Robbie's new management team begins to integrate him back into the music scene. They book him small gigs, testing the waters to see how the public will respond. To everyone's surprise, Robbie is immediately accepted. His raw, heartfelt performances resonate with audiences, and soon, his records are flying off the shelves. He sells out small venues, then larger ones, and before long, he's filling stadiums. Robbie becomes the highest-selling solo artist in England, a title that cements his place in music history. But behind the scenes, the weight of his success begins to crush him. His anxiety and depression worsen, and the pressure to maintain his image becomes unbearable. Just as Robbie is struggling to keep it together, his father reappears in his life. Peter's return isn't motivated by genuine love or remorse, it's clear he's drawn to Robbie's fame and wealth. Robbie tries to keep his guard up, but deep down, he still yearns for his father's approval. The relationship is strained, and Peter's presence only adds to Robbie's growing sense of unease. Then, one day, Robbie receives a call from his mother. Her voice is trembling as she delivers the news: his grandmother has passed away. She had been asking for Robbie in her final moments, but he wasn't there. The news hits Robbie like a tidal wave. He collapses, overwhelmed by grief and regret. He thinks about all the times he could have visited her, all the moments he missed because he was too consumed by his career. A few days later, Robbie lays his grandmother to rest. The funeral is attended by friends, family, and even fans who have come to show their support. Robbie stands at the front, his head bowed, as he listens to the eulogies. He feels a deep sense of loss, but also a strange sense of gratitude for the love his grandmother gave him. After the service, he returns to his apartment, but the grief and anger inside him boil over. He destroys everything in sight: furniture, mirrors, anything he can get his hands on. When the rage finally subsides, he collapses, unconscious, on the floor. A couple of months later, Robbie finishes his tour and decides it's time to make a change. He attends a group therapy session, something he never thought he'd do. Sitting in a circle with strangers, he opens up about his life, his struggles, his losses, and the man he's become. It's the first time he's been truly honest with himself, and it's both terrifying and liberating. He decides to start over. He cuts his hair, a symbolic gesture of shedding his old self, and moves out of his huge mansion. He leaves behind the trappings of fame and drives away. A few years later, Robbie performs for a calmer, more intimate crowd. He is a different man now, sober, grounded, and at peace with himself. As he stands on stage, he looks out at the audience and smiles. He tells them that he wouldn't be the man he is today without the trials and tribulations of his past. He thanks everyone for supporting him through it all. The crowd erupts in applause, but Robbie isn't seeking validation anymore. He has finally found what he's been searching for all along: himself.